Good evening. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 21st, 2023 by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. If we could have roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Here.
Councilman Cordiller? Councilman Nogales? Here. Councilman Pedroso? President Ring.
Here. Those of you that are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Nogales.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have minutes from the March 7th meeting that were circulated. Any comments on them? Otherwise, I'd entertain a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. There's also closed session meetings from March 7th circulating for review and approval. We'll move on to town council reports, starting with Councilman Nogales.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy spring. Everyone knows it arrives with cold temperatures and biting winds, but better times are coming. I've seen some of the crocuses come out. Our Muslim friends are celebrating the holy month of Ramadan. Daily fasting is broken at sundown, generally with dates and milk, followed by a fuller meal after the evening prayers. In addition to the 5 daily prayers, a very important optional practice is to gather for additional communal prayers after the night prayer each night of the month. The crescent moon lighting at the township, originally scheduled for March 10th to commemorate Ramadan, had to be delayed due to a shipping display and getting the display here. We had a fire scare at one of the 2 Center Bridge Township-owned senior citizen high-rises by the post office. A new tenant, unaccustomed to the electric range top, placed a takeout food container on a hot stove top, causing a smoke situation. When he left the door open to clear the smoke, it activated the hallway detector, which caused an immediate fire department response. There was no damage or no injury. The issue is being used by the staff as a teaching moment for all residents of both buildings. Work continues on the engineering design for the large township 54-inch sewer pipe redesign under the river at Bridgewater Park. It's known as the Head Gates Dam Removal Project that Tom Genova discussed with us last year ago, January. It is hoped that the construction work can be done. The pipe has to be moved first, and then the dam can be eliminated. By the way, there is a second crossing by 202 and Milltown Road. After this project is completed, that one will also have to be re-engineered. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kirsch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to focus tonight on land use boards. The zoning board met on March 12th, a continuation of the Starbucks application, which is Route 22 East at Morgan Lane. The item that's under most discussion during that hearing is approval of a drive-through. The planning board met on March 19th, a couple of nights ago, and heard a courtesy review of the Bridgewater Raritan Regional High School field house and some upgrades and improvements that are going on over there, including a long-awaited and much-needed permanent bathroom structure as compared to the porta potties that I guess have been used for generations. There was also an administrative action taken, an extension given to AR Bridgewater 2. That's preliminary and major site plan with some bulk variances. And then there was quite an interesting case. Dr. Bradley McAdam, who operates a chiropractic practice on 202-206, he received he appeared before the planning board in 1999, and appeared before us a couple of nights ago seeking an amendment on a particular term, a particular item that was in that 1999 approval, and it related to use of certain square footage on the property and parking implications. Our parking, to make a long story short, our parking standards have changed over time. The stipulation was removed, but it was not removed before substantial conversation to truly understand what the intention was of the planning board in 1999. Certainly not wanting to take lightly that actions that occur before our land use boards are intended to stay with the land, and so any request for relief at a later time, we certainly dove into that case with considerable detail to make sure that we were still upholding the intention from 1999, but certainly providing the flexibility that was being sought in 2024. And that is the extent of my report, other than to state that I think Mr. Pappas is going to give us a preview of the event coming up on April 11th. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. That's my report.
All right, thank you. I do have a couple items. Earlier this week, I was able to attend a portion of a meeting that took place with our now retired township planner, Scarlett Doyle, as well as our new planners, as well as some key township staff, kind of a, for lack of a better term, I'll say a knowledge dump of Scarlett, having served in that capacity for a large number of years. Shared a lot of different thoughts and comments on different projects and different things going on and why certain things were done certain ways to really help give our new planners a historical perspective as to how we got to where we are today, which was very nice to see and I think is an important part of the transition, and greatly appreciate Scarlett donating her time to make that happen. It's also my understanding that there are a limited number of applications still being accepted for the Bridgewater Township Police Department Citizens Academy, which starts on Thursday, April 4th. This is a great opportunity for residents of the township to get a better understanding of what goes on in the police department, the things our police officers have to do, the different types of decisions they have to make, and the parameters in which they can operate in. I believe it's no cost, correct, Chief? It's no cost program. However, you do need to submit an application no later than Friday, March 29th, and that can be done through the bridgewaterpd.com website. One other item I wanted to share, Somerset County has recently shared some communication regarding lithium batteries being disposed of in recycling trucks, and actually resulted in a fire in a recycling truck here in Bridgewater, where they had to dump the entire contents of the recycling truck in the parking lot at the Patriots Stadium in order to extinguish the fire. And you hear more and more about lithium batteries, and it's just a reminder that we have to think about not only how we charge them and when and where we charge them, but how we dispose of them when they're no longer valid. Lithium batteries should never be thrown into the garbage or into recycling. They need to be disposed of appropriately through hazardous waste or other means. And then lastly, the mayor was not able to be here this evening, but did want me to share with everyone that I guess we could say the check is in the mail. We've talked in the past how we were waiting final approval for a large grant for upgrades to Camp Cromwell. We were assisted by Congressman Kane's office in obtaining this. We were just waiting on final budgets and various roadblocks at the federal government level. All of those have been completed, and it's my understanding, as I said, the check's in the mail. That's a $4 million check coming to the township of Bridgewater. That will go a long way in helping to restore Camp Cromwell and open it up for the public. In the near future, we'll talk further about what the visions are and trying to engage some residents as to what will be done at Camp Cromwell. But we're very appreciative of Congressman Kane's assistance with that, and happy to know that that check is finally coming. So that's my report. Thank you. With that, anything from the mayor's office?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Councilman Kirsch mentioned that on April the 11th at 7 p.m. in this room, there will be a public input workshop on the master plan. The Members of the council, planning board, zoning board of adjustment, and key staff have been working literally from last summer on a regular basis, reviewing the existing master plan and making proposed revisions. Scarlett Doyle, who's been mentioned earlier, retired as our township planner last December, and she started this process. I had the opportunity last summer to go through it page by page with her, and then the mayor did, and then the mayor felt it was very important that there would be a representative group from the council, the zoning board, the planning board, to review and to have input on proposed draft changes. That has been concluded, and we're pleased to announce that, again, Thursday, April the 11th, there will be a public input workshop. It'll be a bit unique approach to obtaining citizen input. We'll let you wait until then to learn the specific process, but that will be the next step. I guess it was back in November or December, there was an online questionnaire that was made available to anyone in the public that wanted to provide input, offer comments, and pose questions. That concluded last, I think it was December the 17th. We will hold this workshop. There will be the opportunity a few days thereafter for those that cannot attend the workshop on the 11th to, again, have access to that portal to provide their input. Then a final draft will be created, presented to the planning board, who will then hold an official public hearing, at least one official public hearing. So we're hoping that probably by late spring, early summer, that process will be concluded, again, depending upon the number of members of the public who participate and the points and the questions that are raised. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have no proclamations, no presentations, so next up would be the meeting open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 2 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. This would be the chance to address the council on any of the items on tonight's agenda or any other item. I will entertain a motion to open public.
I'll make the motion open to the public.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is open to the public. If anyone would like to come forward.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting is closed to the public. We are now on to resolutions. 12A is a resolution authorizing appropriation reserve transfers, just transferring money from one budget account to another. Unless the administration has anything further to say on it, I would entertain a motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Kirsch?
Aye. Yes.
Councilman Nogales? Yes. President Ring?
Yes. All right. 12B is a resolution providing for emergency temporary appropriations for the sewer fund of $2,804,414 for a total of $6,273,272.98. And this is just while we await our final budget. Councilman Nargalis is our in-house expert in sewers. Do you have anything further?
It is very important. Our residents expect to be able to flush their toilets, and this is one of those things that will help do that. And that may have moved 12B.
I'll second, but just, reiterate that it is certainly our priority to get through both what I'll call our main budget and our sewer utility budget work as diligently as possible so that we can move from transition or temporary budget to permanent. It's certainly our intention. It was our practice last year, and we will certainly do our diligence to get there as quickly as possible this year.
Let the record reflect that Councilman Pedroso has arrived, and with that, we will also take a roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales? Yes. Councilman Pedroso?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. President Ring?
Yes. All right. 12C is a resolution authorizing and directing the Planning Board of the Township of Bridgewater to undertake a preliminary investigation of Block 411, Lot 39, and Block 408, Lot 67, pursuant to the New Jersey Local Redevelopment and Housing Law, NJSA 40A:12A-1, etc., for classification as an area in need of redevelopment, and directing the township's redevelopment planner to prepare a study investigating whether Block 411, Lot 39, also known as 555 Route 22, and Block 408, Lot 67, located on the northwest corner of Route 22 and Country Club Road, constitutes an area in need of redevelopment. Just before I turn it over to Mr. Pappas for the public, not aware, we're talking about the former Ethicon site. So with that, Mr. Pappas, I'll turn it over to you for some comments.
Thank you. The site in question is almost 82 acres. It's a large parcel of land in a very strategic location. I will tell you that over the last several years, since I've been fortunate to be part of this team, since the Ethicon operation ceased or suspended their operation there, and we received numerous contacts from real estate professionals, developers with an interest in this property. And every instance, the interest was for high-density residential development or mega warehouses. And this proposal before the council is just that, is to send this concept to the planning board with the assistance of Mr. Sullivan, our redevelopment planner, to assess whether the conditions of this site warrant and meet the statutory requirements. It is a deep analysis that he will undertake, a detailed report that he will present to the planning board that will then review it, I believe have an opportunity for public input, and then they will make a recommendation back to the governing body. It is a tool that many municipalities use throughout the state, and with the economic conditions that we find ourselves, facilities such as this, which is, from what I'm told from others, is a facility that lacks the current standards for the pharmaceutical industry as it once had standing in that regard. There need to be other options that the governing body should consider, and the process that will be undertaken, if this is something that the council ultimately would believe is in the best interest of the community, would put the township, the council, the mayor in a much stronger position in determining what future uses would end up on that property versus the traditional zoning approach. And again, this is a first step in a very detailed process. Significant public input will be afforded the public that are interested, both at the planning board and at this council's level, and we appreciate the council's consideration of this proposal.
Go ahead, Mr. Councilman Norgels.
Have this in our toolbox. This, as Papa says, a very large piece of property. It's an important piece for many people who have seen it sit there over the years. Times have changed, and we need to take advantage of whatever opportunities we can on behalf of the residents. So keep planning for the future.
Thank you. Any comments from this side of the dais?
No, I mean, I'll make a very brief comment, and then
Then it's yes.
yeah, the answer is, I guess, yes. Thank you. And then, Mr. President, I think you may want to walk the public through
yeah,
kind of what they
let's-
can
yes.
expect
Well-
moving ahead. But just to reiterate, that, this is a very important tool in our toolbox to be able to have maximum control and maximum impact, input, on what happens there, and that means our planning board, those of us on this dais, the administration, and very importantly, the public, in understanding what may go there, what is appropriate, and having a true say in that. By going down this pathway, we hold much greater control than if we would simply just, allow development to occur following our master plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pedrosa, did you have any comments?
Yeah, briefly, briefly, to quote Mike.
Yeah. It was pretty brief.
It was very brief. I'll try to be
For a no.
I'll try to be as brief as you. First of all, I support the resolution. So the property certainly seems to fit the check boxes, and I guess we'll let the planning board go through the homework and make sure that it does. But from my initial just oversight, it seems that the property does fit the check boxes to be a property in need of redevelopment. I do think, concurring with what's been said, that there are benefits to the township that come with that designation. So I think that's prudent to go about in this way. Just want to make a note that I'm not making this decision in a complete void. I did take a tour of the property site. I am under the impression that the current owner or future owner does have some desire to work with the township and donate some land to the township. And from what I saw, what their intended use is, all those things are things I'm taking into consideration. And I think that I'm anticipating that all that's going to follow through with the way it's been presented. So I just want to put that on notice that that's my expectation. And the last thing I want to say is that it's a very large property. As you said, it's 82 acres. It's in a important part of Bridgewater. I do want to emphasize the importance of having public input. I'm sure we will. And perhaps I'm saying what doesn't need to be said, but I feel it's important. No matter what we do with this property, it's very important that we make an effort to disclose any advanced meetings, disclose what we intend to do, and certainly encourage public participation. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, just very briefly to echo some of the comments made, you look at the piece of property and obviously it's not going to sit as a vacant, dormant piece of property. Someone wants to do something with that property. We can allow them to go through land use boards and try to seek stuff, or through an area of a need redevelopment. It gives us more leverage to, I'll say, negotiate with, and to put certain controls in place in exchange, such as, we might find someone that's a good fit, but we put a parameter in there that any future sale has to come back before this governing body for approval. It's one thing to negotiate with somebody and put something in place, and 6 months later they turn around and sell it, and somebody wants to do something different with it. So I think the area of area in need of redevelopment gives us a great opportunity to work through that. So I absolutely support this, and anyone interested in making a motion?
Motion on 12C.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. All right. Before we move on, just for the benefit of the public, because I know we did have some discussion about public input, that kind of stuff. And this is not something we do regularly. So when this was on the agenda, I did ask Mr. Corsini's office to help just summarize what the process would be moving forward for the public. So we kind of just tonight completed step one, which is the council adopting a resolution authorizing the planning board to undertake a preliminary investigation. So step two would be the planning board actually doing that investigation, which will also include a public hearing on notice, a notice of a public hearing around that, and then adopting a resolution recommending or not recommending a redevelopment area. So after they hold a public hearing with notice, they make a decision. That would come back in step three to the council, who then has to make a determination whether or not to accept that report. Step four would be the council authorizes the preparation of a redevelopment plan, which we can also delegate to the planning board. There's actually in step five, we have a choice as to whether the council prepares the redevelopment plan and refers it to the planning board for consistency, or the planning board prepares it and submits it to the council. But the last step in this process would be the council to adopt by ordinance a redevelopment plan after introduction of an ordinance. Any ordinance that's introduced requires a public hearing. So there are, multiple public hearings in this opportunity, multiple meetings for public input. This will not be something that, we resolve at our next council meeting, just so the public is aware of the process. So, sorry.
Were you finished with that statement? Or
Yes.
May I kind of
Sure.
add to it and say, in the interest of additional transparency and availability, I am this year the member of council that's on the planning board, and I maintain willingness to speak with any member of the public, to be contacted through my publicly available email address. I also have a widely circulated and available phone number. So I am certainly willing to, be a community liaison, so to speak.
Thank you.
If people want to know what's going on, if I know it, they'll know it.
Okay. We appreciate that. Thank you. Moving on, 12D is a resolution to change of Bridgewater Township's petty cash custodian to William Pandos, CFO, and changing the location to the Finance Department at 100 Commons Way, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807. Pretty straightforward, I think, unless there's any questions. I'd entertain a motion. Motion on 12D. Second.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. 12E is award of contract to Active Disposal, Inc., 10 Polhemus Lane, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807 for dumpster rental and disposal of municipal waste at various township locations for a total amount not to exceed $48,510 for the period of March 22nd, 2024 to March 21st, 2025 to be funded through the Street and Roads Refuge Collection Account. Pretty straightforward. Need to get our garbage collected. That went out to bid, and that was the lowest bid
By a long shot.
by one-fifth the price of the next lowest bid. Or actually, more than one-fifth.
The other lower bidder just didn't understand the project. They didn't understand what we were looking for. That's why you saw that.
Okay. 48,000 to 227,000. Yep.
Didn't understand the project, so.
Okay.
If there's no conversation, I'll make a motion at 12E.
Second motion?
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. 12F, award of contract to Verizon Connect 505 North Point Parkway, Alpharetta, Georgia, 30022 in the amount not to exceed $34,468.20 annually for the purchase of GPS tracking software for all township-owned and leased vehicles to be funded through the vehicle maintenance account of motor vehicles account. Pretty straightforward. We've done this historically. We're switching to another vendor and adding some additional units. So unless there's any discussion, I'll take a motion.
I just might add
Sure.
a comment. Besides adding vehicles, the actual total cost is less than the existing.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Do we need to change any of the GPS tracking hardware?
No, well,
Of the portable units
Yeah.
that we give to the snow contractor.
right, yes.
On
So,
that, no.
no. The existing
Wait, no,
track.
other than that,
Let me,
no.
let me try to clarify. The devices that are in the vehicles presently will be removed by the new vendor, no cost, and we just have to return the devices to the existing vendor. And as Councilman Ring said, there will be additional portable devices that would be part of this contract for use by our contracted snowplow.
But I think,
But that's all included in this cost.
Yes,
So the piece that is installed in the vehicle, is that a permanent, screwed in, bolted in?
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
thank you.
Other than the portables that are.
I understand. Okay. I'll move 12F.
But they're going to remove the current ones and install their devices.
Yes.
That's all included in this cost.
Correct.
Okay.
I heard a motion for 12F. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
President Ring.
Yes. All right, 12G, award of contract to Air Systems Maintenance, Inc., 718 Jefferson Avenue, Kenilworth, New Jersey, for HVAC quarterly maintenance. I just want to make, I'm reading here correct, sorry. Quarterly maintenance services to various township locations in the amount of $14,900 for quarterly preventative maintenance, and if needed, not to exceed $20,000 for emergency repairs, for a total amount not to exceed $34,900 for the period of March 22nd, 2024 to February 28th, 2025, to be funded through the Building Grounds Maintenance of Building account.
I want to thank Mr. Pappas and Sarah, our qualified person, I put them through grievous questions because I misinterpreted this document originally. I thought this was a quarterly payment I thought the $14,009 was a quarterly amount as opposed to an annual amount for quarterly maintenance. So I gladly move 12G.
Okay. I'll second it.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
President Ring.
Yes. 12H is authorizing the sale between the Township of Bridgewater and a qualified buyer for the purchase of affordable housing unit located at Block 164.06, Lot 1108, also known as 1108 Pinhorn Drive in Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807.
As the council will recall, a number of months ago, we came before you to request your support in purchasing this unit. It is affordable housing condominium. We did do so as the subject of a sheriff's sale, and it was purchased for, I think it was $49,000. We had to remove extensive personal belongings that were in the unit. I personally visited it when we first took title, and there was a lot to be removed that had been left there by the previous owner. The individual that is going to purchase it, if this is approved, went through our administrative agent. They had to income qualify to meet the requirements of the Affordable Housing Program, and the proposed sale will realize about a $40,000 profit, and that would go back to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Mr. Pappas, just a question, because in the resolution there's commentary about, and I also recall discussion of some repairs that were needed. So am I to understand that the repairs that we were considering making, instead, other than removing the contents, we are selling it essentially as is, and in exchange for that, the price has been lowered a bit, and now the buyer is taking responsibility for making the necessary repairs?
That's correct. The council had authorized up to $20,000 to be used to make renovations if needed. Fortunately, we did not have to undertake that. There was a very minor plumbing repair that had to be made, some sheetrocking and spackling, and removal of items, as I said, and carpeting. And that is correct. This is being sold as is.
Because I know there was concern that the plumbing situation was potentially severe. It's turned out to be less severe.
Correct.
And just, you know, for the public's knowledge, the amount of the repair and the accommodation that's being made to the buyer is $8,345.
Correct. The purchase, the price that we would be authorized under this program to sell the property was $98,345. That had been in existence at the time even when it was purchased, and there is, in a sense, a credit of approximately $8,000 that is being provided, which is significantly less than if we undertook the repairs that originally were envisioned.
This is a really good deal for the township. We recovered a unit to prevent it from being sold on the market. We keep it as affordable, and we take a few dollars and put it back in the fund. So 12H, I'll move it.
I have a question. I presume I know the answer, but the buyer is the actual homeowner who will be living in the unit?
Has to be.
Yes, it has to be, yes.
Right. And does it, I know it's affordable, in the affordable housing rules, so will it keep its status?
Yes.
Is there a limit for how long, or is it in perpetuity?
They're generally 30 years. I don't know when this deed restriction expires, but I don't know the answer to that. I certainly can get that for you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know if that clock somehow resets because of this sale.
No,
You know?
it does not.
Michael Grodnick from my office is and has been available on this. Anyone can reach out.
Okay.
I can certainly get you what when the deed
Oh.
restriction expires, but it remains as part of the list of designated units.
The reality is, we own it, we don't want to hold it, so whether it resets or not, we want to move this off of our books, so.
But the deed restrictions on all of our units are available to anyone who'd like to see them. If they'd like to contact our office.
So, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Nogales,
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso,
Yes.
President Ring.
Yes. All right, unless anyone objects, I'm going to take 12I, J, and K together. Authorizing release of 12I, authorizing release of the performance guarantee in the amount of $9,680, acceptance of the site improvements for the New Jersey American Water Company, Block 601, Lot 107, Route 202-206, which is just north of the northerly end of Sky Hill Road. 12J is authorizing change order number 1, final change order, decreasing the contract price from $1,103,785.40 to $940,559.37, a decrease of 14.8%, or $162,226.03, authorizing acceptance of the project, release of the performance bond, acceptance of the maintenance bond, and final payment to Top Line Construction Corporation, 22 Fifth Street, Somerville, New Jersey, 08876, for the 2023 Section 4 roadway improvement project, which includes the base bid for the entire lengths of Arnold Place, Birch Drive, Magnolia Drive, Evergreen Drive, Donna Court, Sky Hill Terrace, and Timberline Drive, funded through the 2023 Capital Fund. And 12K authorizes a change order number 1, final change order, also decreasing the contract price from $584,651 to $584,024, a decrease of 0.28%, or $1,627, authorizing acceptance of the project release, release of the performance bond, acceptance of the maintenance bond, and final payment to Earthworks, Inc., 13 Morello Court, Farmingdale, New Jersey, 07727, for the Bridgewater Stream Bank Stabilization and Restoration Project, USDA NRCS Emergency Watershed Protection Program, funded through the Steam Bank Ordinance.
Move consent on 12I, J, and K.
I'll second I, J, and K.
Roll call?
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Nogales,
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso,
Yes.
President Ring.
Yes. All right. 12L is a resolution advising the Somerset County Commissioners of Municipal Participation in the update to the Somerset County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazardous Mitigation Plan. This is a document the county is required to do through the Office of Emergency Management, and we have to designate by resolution who will be representing the township. I know Councilman Norgalis has offered to do that, and I believe there's also some representatives from the administration. And the categories in which the representatives are chosen are also told to us. So unless anyone has any further comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move 12L.
I'll second it.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Nogales,
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso,
Yes.
President Ring.
Yes. All right. 12M, a resolution providing for emergency temporary appropriations for current fund from $18,679,843.80 to a total of $18,692,270.47. I'm going to borrow some of Councilman Norgalis's words from our earlier discussion on the HVAC contract. I think he and I tag-teamed the administration on this situation.
You have become quite the tag team.
But the very long story short here is we have two issues going on, both involving postage machines. We have to update our postage machines by the end of January to meet new postal regulations. However, while we were planning to do that later this year, one of the postage machines has broke and has become unreliable. So rather than continue to pump money into it, we're looking to replace them now. Is that a?
Yes, absolutely. If I can just add one other comment to this, the types of postage meters that we're going to have will allow us to track the postage for each department or division. Up until now, it did not have the technology incorporated into it. We thought it would be important to do that so we can understand who's spending money on postage. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Pappas. Typically with the budget, when one particular line item has a slight, exceeds a slight amount, often the administration will find other line items in the budget, because there are hundreds of them, where you can shift funds and not have to ask for additional increases. Is that an option?
In this particular case, it was not because the particular line item that the purchasing agent and the CFO thought did not have sufficient funds initially, and frankly, it was an error when the original temporary budget was put forth. It was not funded for that particular item.
Right, but there's no other line item in the budget?
The issue was understood back in January, and for whatever reason, in incorporating it into the temporary budget, it didn't get there. So there's a necessity here because the U.S. postal system has changed the rules, and as of June, so we're trying to get ahead of the game in replacing a machine that's failing anyway with the more current one, which is required for the future.
That's not
With
my
that in
issue.
mind, I'll move
Listen,
12M.
my issue is not the postal machine, and my issue is not the $12,426. The $18.679 million is the quarterly budget we approved based upon the state guideline numbers, correct?
Correct.
And that's for a quarter, right?
The original amount that was approved at the reorganization meeting was the 26%.
26%. So that already gives the administration a cushion of an additional, say, 4% for the year from last year, right? So my concern is that I would prefer to keep that number the way it is, and I just can't imagine why the administration can't come and request us to adjust a line item in the budget and find that $12,000 somewhere else and keep that $18.679 million number the same. I don't have an issue with the postal machine being repaired, but it's only $12,000. But the quarterly budget is $18.7 million, and so to not be able to find $12,000 somewhere else to shift it over to this line item is really what I'm questioning.
I understand. What I tried to explain is that when the CFO originally presented the temporary budget, he failed to include a line item where he and the QPA felt was appropriate to draw money from. This was going to be an expense that they were intending to put forth in June or July, but because the postage meter was not functioning properly, it had to be accelerated. I understand your point completely, and that's the best response that I can provide to you.
I understand correctly what you're saying is we can't transfer it to a line item because the line item was never put in the temporary budget.
Correct.
So we have to do it this way to add the line item to the budget.
Right, but we could take the funds from a different line item. Nothing prevents us from doing that, okay?
I understand. I understand.
And
I agree with you, Philippe, but technically that would be violating the rules in terms of putting this is a very specific expense, putting it in the wrong place. Because you have to put it in the line that's got some money.
That's not the issue again. I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear. That's not the issue. The issue is that the funds in the $18.7 million budget, there are hundreds of line item listed in there. And nothing prevents the government from adjusting those items and taking money from perhaps one that's excessively funded and moving it over to this new created line item. Nothing prevents us from doing that. It's an accounting issue. We do it all the time. We move monies from one account to the other all the time. It's part of our regular course of business, and nothing prevents that from happening here. That's all I'm saying.
This line does not exist
I
today.
know that. I know that. But we can create it and get the funds from a different line
The
item.
CFO is saying the only way to create it is to increase the budget, to add it as a line item.
Put it in by a temporary budget.
I will tell you that Councilman Norgalis and I, how many phone calls the last couple of days over this issue?
Verizon has been very happy that we were,
So, Mr. President,
I'll move 12M. This is,
Okay,
I'll second it, but I just want to have a clarification before our vote. So Mr. Pappas had this machine, and it's one of two, correct? Had this machine not broken down, we would have been having this discussion as part of our permanent budget consideration. Likely would have made this purchase sometime, in the back half of
it's
'24?
got to be done by before June 30th.
Okay.
But it would have been a line item put in the budget and included in the regular budget.
So we're essentially buying something a couple of months early and accounting for it in the budget, which we would have had to do anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
And they were able to repair it, but there's no guarantee how long the repairs will last on the existing one. Why keep
Right.
spending money to repair
Right.
something that we
Right.
have to replace in June?
Right. Keep the bubble gum and.
And I understand Councilman Pedroso's point completely, and if we didn't have to come here for this, we would not have come here for this. I can assure you of that.
But Councilman Norgalis
and I
and I put
completely
him-
understand. I
What
completely
Councilman
understand your
Norgalis and I
point.
put him through, trust me.
I completely understand your point, though. I do.
I made the second.
Okay, roll call.
Before I vote, so you're saying that legally, you can't do what I'm suggesting that you should do?
I believe that you can't transfer monies this time of the year. I think transfers can only happen after November 1st.
Well, Mr. Corsini, is that correct? Was Mr. Pappas?
See, I understood it was you can't transfer it because the line item
can't
is not
transfer to a
in the
zero.
budget.
does not exist. That's
Yes.
the problem.
We can't add the line item through a transfer.
Correct.
That's
Not that we can't do we could,
Well, you can't do a transfer until after November 1st of every year. If you recall, at the end of the year, you have, yes.
I really encourage those that are concerned with this to talk to the CFO, who spent a lot of time on this.
And you're our attorney, Mr. Corsini. I'm asking you for advice and legally.
What's your question?
The question is can the funds that are being sought here be transferred from a different line item in the budget?
It would depend. I would need more facts.
okay. We do have a motion, we do have a second, so we will do a roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
If I knew that if the law prevented us from doing what I suggested, I would obviously have to vote in favor. But since I'm not really getting enough feedback to be confident that's the case, I'm going to vote no. I do want to make a note that I do support.
Councilman Pedroso, we're doing a roll call. That is not,
I'm
that is not a
allowed
time.
I'm allowed to give my opinion.
No, you're not, Councilman Pedroso. Under Robert's rules, you are not allowed to justify your vote.
Comments over.
Comments are
We
done.
do it all the time.
Well,
Councilman Ring is.
We do it all the time.
no, I'm sorry. Please move on, clerk.
President Ring?
Yes. All right. We've come to the conclusion of our agenda with the exception of Resolution 13, Item 13, which is a closed session. Be it resolved by the Bridgewater Township Council that this body will now hold a closed meeting to discuss contract negotiations on sewer system, yard waste, municipal court, and an area in need of redevelopment, Block 411, Lot 39, also known as 555 Route 22. When and if the matters discussed become public record, they will be known to the public at that time. The public is excluded from said meeting, and further notice, therefore, is dispensed with all in accordance with Section 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Have a good night, folks.
No, nobody.
Fact is, the line didn't exist.
Sorry. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
All right, as soon as the doors open. Okay, we have completed our closed session. We need a motion to reopen public session. I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Norgalis, would you like to make any further motions? Do we have a second? Okay, I'll second it.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
Okay, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Lady and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
So you talked to Jenny?
Yes. So I just need a minute.